Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Coffee and Headlines, our morning get-together live here on Facebook, where we examine headlines from our city, our state, and our country. We take a look at your comments, your ideas, your questions, your suggestions about things to do and things to find out more about here in Puerto Vallarta as a community of English-speaking locals. Today is May 11th. It is a Thursday, and it is a pleasure to get together with you as always. We have a bit of news to share. Not a lot. It's one of those days. But I didn't want to rely on Mexican sayings just yet because we did that just 2 days ago. So we're going to go with what we have and hope we have a nice connection. As always, we welcome everyone that is joining us, and particularly if you're watching live for the first time, please let us know by adding the word new to your comment, and we will give you a nice little welcome. If you have something truly important that you wish to share, like Claude here, who's asking, how do you enjoy your iced coffee? And I'll answer that in a second. Notice how Claude has added a capital letter Q at the beginning of his question, which means it was directed to me. How do I enjoy my iced coffee? Well, I enjoy it very much, for starters, because it's getting to be warm. Although today I'm back to warm coffee, hot coffee, because I forgot to set it up last night. You see, what I do is I take my French press, the same French press that I used to make my coffee on a daily basis, but rather than filling it with boiling water and waiting for 4 minutes for it to do its magic, what I do is the night before, at least with some 12 hours of anticipation, I set it up with regular tap water or, water from the garrafon. I add more coffee than I usually would, and I let it sit in the refrigerator overnight. In the morning, I just push the press down, as you ordinarily would, and I add ice cubes and sweetener and some artificial milk, and that's how I enjoy my coffee. So if you have an important question or an unimportant question, but you want everybody to take a look at it, just add a capital letter Q, and we'll be happy to take a look at it during the comments section. But first, we're going to start with some great news for our dear friends of the Turtle Camp in Mayto. This is excellent news, as the Mayto Turtle Camp in Cabo Corrientes has announced that there will be an environmental education center built at its location. This will be constructed thanks to an endowment provided by a local foundation called Crescento. I was not familiar with the organization, so I looked for more information online, and apparently Crescento Foundation is the fundraising or community wing of a local real estate development that has the same name here in Puerto Vallarta. There is no specific information at this time about the project, but the article did detail that the project was developed sometime last year, and the construction of it will be concluded before the end of the current year. For those of you that don't know, the turtle camp in Mayto is just a short walk to the right of Hotel Mayto in Mayto. And it's a beautiful, beautiful location where turtles are protected yearly on a year-round basis, and you can get your own turtle education. They have release programs, and they have little workshops in which you can participate to learn more about why it's important to protect these species. So it's really, really great news to hear about this project. We welcome more information. Hopefully we'll continue to follow this, and once it's opened, it'll be a great excuse to go back to Mayto. If you haven't been, let us know. Let us know. Write the word Mayto in your comments, and we'll be so very glad to tell you a little bit more about this beautiful oceanfront destination that is not even 2 hours away from Puerto Vallarta. Moving right along, when it comes to picking at Puerto Vallarta Mayor Luis Michel's accomplishments or lack of thereof, we've come to rely on Vallarta Independiente, a local news source that seems to enjoy very much picking on Mayor Michel's misfortunes. Thanks to them, we learned that he made a promise last year to Osvaldo Sanchez, a former professional footballer, regarded as one of the best goalkeepers in Mexican football history, to build a soccer school and new fields here in Puerto Vallarta. The promise was made in May of 2021, and the project is not even contemplated in the list of 160 projects announced by the current administration earlier this year. In a video posted in social media recently, the football player asks for people to not believe what media outlets are saying and that a soccer school is coming. But as you know, in these situations, you are left wondering who to believe. We could believe Mayor Michel, who has not commented on the situation, or we could believe the soccer player. And I think I'm going to believe the soccer player just because he is a lot more handsome than Mayor Michel. Thank you. And of course, moving right along, I mentioned yesterday that I was going to the movies. I went to the movies at La Isla, went to catch the latest installment of the Guardians of the Galaxy, which was absolutely fun, silly, and juvenile, and gave me good feels all around. But on the way home, I took this photograph of the work in progress that is going on along the northbound lateral of Medina Ascencio. As you know, the southbound lateral has been completed with a wonderful new bike path that connects the hotel zone with El Centro. And now the same intervention is being done on the other side. Of course, there's still a long way to go, because this is just the first 2 blocks, or the equivalent of 2 blocks, starting at La Isla and heading south along Medina Ascencio. When this project is over, it will have its own bicycle lane and more ornate sidewalks as the other lateral has. But there's still some ways to go as far as this project is concerned. Still, it's nice to see that some progress is being made. Last but not least, it's another day and another World Health emergency is over, with the World Health Organization declaring the end of the monkeypox or mpox emergency that affected at least 87,000 people in 111 countries, resulting in 140 deaths. We didn't hear of a lot of cases here in Mexico, so I don't think our country was as affected, but still, it is comforting to know that the most critical aspect of this health emergency is over. Moving right along, let us see what our weather has to say for itself today. Let's see. Weather says you can expect beautiful weather in Hyrule for the triumphant return of Ganondorf. I don't know who or where that is, but what I can tell you is that we are enjoying 29 degrees Celsius right now. Our temperature in Fahrenheit degrees is 84. Humidity is low at 33%, which is comforting. Our weather forecast for today says we're going to have clear skies through the day with a high of 31 and a low of 19. Tomorrow, Friday, clear skies in the morning with partly cloudy skies in the afternoon with a high of 30 and a low of 19. And then on Saturday, partly cloudy skies in the morning with clear skies in the afternoon. I must say that when I went to the movies yesterday, I thought I would come out of the theater at night to a very humid city. And no, it was actually quite comfortable, which means that we can still enjoy lovely evening walks around the city. Moving right along, I have a question to ask you. Because, well, it's not a question, it's a guessing game. It is endemic to Mexico's Maya region. It alerts of nearby jaguars. It can find its way to your dinner plate, but it is an endangered species. Can you guess what it is? Well, you don't have to because I'm going to put one on the screen. I want you to meet the Kabul. As it is known locally, it is actually called the Great Curassow or Crax rubra. It's a large pheasant-like bird that you may not have heard about before. I certainly hadn't until I read about this morning. Just like the chachalaca, it doesn't fly, but it is much larger than chachalacas, as it can be as long as 1 meter in length. The Kabul eats seeds and small insects, and since their primary predator is the jaguar, their call serves as a warning sign all over Yucatan whenever jaguars are present in the area. The presence of these birds in any environment is also a sign of a healthy wild habitat, which is good to know. Unfortunately, many people in Yucatan still enjoy this bird as a meal for special occasions, as I understand it. And I say unfortunately because it is cataloged as an endangered species by Mexico's Secretary of the Environment and Natural Resources. So just as we tend to refuse tortilla egg or tortilla soup or other dishes made with not tortilla, I said tortilla and I meant to say turtle. Just as we are sometimes offered turtle-based meals here in this side of the country, I've been offered to eat turtle soup and I have refused it. We should also refuse any dishes that have to do with having this pheasant-like bird for dinner or lunch or whatever. And of course, before we look at your comments, I want to remind you that this afternoon we are having our show and tell from my latest trip to Guadalajara. This is an opportunity to give you more information about what we did this time around and to provide you with enticing ideas and suggestions about how to go about planning your own trip to Guadalajara, whether it's the first one ever or whether you want to go back and see different parts of the city. That's exactly what we did this time around. And when I say we, I mean myself, along with my co-pilot Michel and my co-pilot Catherine, who kindly came along with me to catch the live broadcast of an opera by the Metropolitan Opera in New York. That'll happen this afternoon at 4 o'clock for members only. If you're not a member, you know what to do. And now, let us take a quick look at your comments just to see what everybody is up to. On this Thursday, I see good mornings, which I very much appreciate. Christy, you must be back from your wine expedition. I hope you had a good time. Let's see what else we have. Doody-doo-dee-doo. Gary is looking forward to Zapopan report. I'll make a deal with you, Gary. You keep us informed of your Amapas Neighborhood Association projects, and I will keep you informed of whatever you want, because we love what you're doing with your projects. Let's see what else we have. Turtle Camp project, says Karen, which is great. And I see a couple of people that say Mayto, which means it's a good time to refresh our knowledge about Mayto. I'll be so very happy to prepare something for you in the next few days and to look at my image bank to share some photographs that I've taken of Mayto in the past. Let's see what else. Gary says, I would not want to get on that news source bad side. They are tenacious. You know, Gary, it's a tricky thing. And I have to say this because, you know, on the one hand, we like to take pride here at Coffee and Headlines that we go and find our news from reliable sources. But even the most established news outlets in Puerto Vallarta can be very opinionated at times. So I would not want to get on that news source's bad side either. And unfortunately, sometimes we have to go with what is available when it comes to putting together our content for every daily broadcast. But I hear you. I would not want to piss them up. Let's see what else. Pretty bird, I couldn't eat it, says Kathleen Pierce. I thought the bird was absolutely beautiful. Let's see. Oh, nice feedback from Rodri. Good morning. Appreciating the Versalles neighborhood videos. We'll be relocating here from Querétaro. Well, you've come to the right place to find information as far as having some lunch together. We create these meet and greets opportunities 4 times a year. I can be found at my music appreciation presentations, but unfortunately time sometimes keeps me busy in such a way that it's difficult for me to escape for lunch. But it is a pleasure to know that the information you are seeing here is useful. Alan says, going to Guadalajara on our next trip to Puerto Vallarta will be our first there. Need a lot of input. Happy to help you, Alan. I'm a big advocate of people that visit Puerto Vallarta or that live in Puerto Vallarta stretching wings to go to our capital city. It's becoming increasingly easier to get there, and it is a great time. You know, some things are different. You won't find as many people speaking English, but still, it is a great opportunity. And this, my friends, brings us to the end of today's broadcast. There's another cue. Gwen and I have some great pictures of Mayto. Good for you, Scott. Feel free to share those with me, and we'll be happy to share them here at Coffee and Headlines. How does the Guadalajara bus handle luggage? That is a great question. Well, you check it into... You're able to bring a carry-on on the bus, and everything else gets put on the luggage compartment on the bus. There is somebody that gives you a ticket. When you give them your luggage, you give the ticket handler a tip, and that is how it is done. Christy reports, my wine trip was 100% amazing, fun, great wines. And Gary says, I appreciate your comment and collection of content. I get their notifications as well and notice the same as you. Thank you for that, Gary. Again, this is not to pat myself on the shoulder, but sometimes getting the information and understanding it and putting it together can be a little bit challenging. But we're happy to do the best we can to create these connections. And speaking of connections, it's time for me to connect with my afternoon presentation, which still needs some detailing. So we're going to end our broadcast for this morning. As always, I thank you for joining me. I thank you for your comments and your questions. They always inspire me to go looking for more interesting content on a regular basis. So hopefully, I'll see some of you this afternoon. Bring all the questions you have about Guadalajara. We'll be happy to answer as much as we can. And if not this afternoon, I hope to see you sometime in the near future. Take care.